What is going on, everybody? How we doing? Welcome back to the Georgia Math Show. I know you guys, it looks a little bit different, the setup and everything. I did do a couple changes myself. I did some readjustments. We're currently still under construction, to say. As you guys see, I'm holding my mic instead of having it on a mic stand like normally. But hey, we had to produce a show. We had to get somewhere, do something. So I was like, we don't have no choice. As you guys see, the background's a little bit different. Now we got a display for the shoes. It's still under construction little by little, but we're almost there. We'll get it done some way, somehow. So it is December 15th, not January. We are currently 16 days away from the new year, people. New year, literally in 16 days. That is crazy. Beautiful day outside. It is cold as hell, though. That is for sure. It is cold like a motherfucker. That is not. It's not good. But before we start, like I say every time, I hope everyone's doing well, staying humble, staying blessed, and staying positive. We got a lot to talk about. Mets made a move. Don't know how I feel about it, but we're gonna talk about it. We'll take a look. We also got other things going on, like Jeff McNeil. According to the reports, Mets and Padres are talking, so we'll get on that, and we'll end off with Mr. John Cena's last match. We'll discuss that, react to it a little bit, and continue from there. Let's get started. All right, let's get started, you guys, with today's positive quote. So today's positive quote for today, you guys, is consider your time valuable and manage it efficiently and effectively. Don't waste time. Produce high quality and products that will inspire others. Make it a point of duty to add value to your work during the progress. Don't settle to less. Make it your best. Strive to win the test. That is from Joseph S. Spencer. So, senior. So here's what I collect from that statement. From what I'm understanding is, consider your time valuable. Don't let people try to just push you over just because, you're a whatever. Make them known that your time is valuable, that you're not just some rap. All right, so it looks like we had a little bit of an issue. Got it situated. We should be good now. All right, so let's get started, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start off with the beginning. So, New York Mets have finally gone out and signed somebody that has a name to them in Mr. Jorge Polanco. It was reported Saturday, you guys, that the Mets had come to a 2-year agreement worth $40 million with the second baseman / DH in Jorge Polanco, who they're planning on playing largely at first and having some time at DH. So that's going to be interesting because Mr. Polanco hasn't had that much experience at the first base position in the MLB. He's been all around the diamond except for first base. So that's going to be interesting. Jorge, for you guys that don't know, he's 32 years old. He spent his time in 2025 this past season with the Seattle Mariners. Now, look, he did pretty well. He had 126 home runs with a batting average of 265, 78 RBIs, slugging 495 with an OPS of 821 and an OPS plus of 134. So his numbers weren't too bad for a 32-year-old. He did pretty well. Dominican native himself. Love to see that. Had overall combined 2.6 WAR. So, listen, not too bad. Obviously, I'm still not happy with the decisions we've chosen to go with. But I got to admit, I like this signing. I think Jorge Polanco will be a good addition to the Mets. I think he will help our chances and help us improve the offense, Like I said, he put some good numbers up for the Seattle Mariners. Also, a good thing about him is he's a switch hitter, probably coming off his best offensive season since 2021. And he had 800 OPS, which is higher from both sides. And he actually thrived in a pitcher's park in Seattle, with a 288 average and an OPS 1,000 OPS. So it's not bad, and he could play all around in the field. Now, last season he played 74% of his time at DH, so him getting more reps at first base will be interesting. We'll see what happens. Also, he's a very clutch hitter. Had a 800 OPS from the 7th to 9th inning last season, so it's not too bad. And look, a veteran, nice mix to add to the lineup. We gotta wait to see what we end up doing, who else we end up getting. Like I said, we're gonna see what happens. This year has been very, very confusing with the way we've been operating, the way we've been letting go of players and doing what we got to do. But overall, I like this. But not too happy. It's not something that will get me to be excited. It's just something that will reduce 1 point off of the not happy with the Mets overall, to be honest. And listen, I will say, look, he did well. Good veteran to add to the team. Make sure it maybe helps out that how could I put it? That clubhouse. Maybe people can do better and have a better performance. Now his slash line, his projections from Baseball Reference that they have for next year is 21 home runs with 64 RBIs, batting average of 244, on base percentage of 317, slugging 432, and an OPS of 749. So they have the OPS dropping a little bit. I think he'll thrive here. I think he'll do pretty well. Me looking at his numbers, year prior to that was all right. I think the year that he had a pretty good one was with in 2021 with Minnesota. Was his last, like, I guess you could say, good year. He was runner-up, I guess, in MVP in 2019, so it's not too bad. But look, I like this. We got to make some more additions, and it got to be things that make sense. We got to see what we continue on doing with the Mets, see what they decide to do, which players they decide to get with the replacements. But it got to make sense, because right now we did a lot of subtracting and it didn't look pretty. That's all I'm going to say. But on to the next thing. The Mets and Padres are in talks about players. It's been reported, including those players include Nick Pivetta, Ramon Laureano, Mason Miller, Adrian Morjon, and Jeremiah Estrada. That is reported by Mr. Will Samion. So the Padres are asking the Mets about their young major leaguers and all their top prospects. So when I saw this, I was like, listen, if we do something like this, we got to go with big. We got to go big. We got to make a good splash. Now, two players that caught my eye out of those that were named, I would say, of course, was Mason Miller and Adrian Morjon. Now, here's why. Obviously, to start off with Mason Miller, the closer. He would be a great replacement for Mr. Edwin Diaz. Think about it. If we were to replace Diaz with Mason Miller, that'd be a great addition. Have him, be, I guess, plateaued or just ninth inning guy coming in. That would be a perfect splash. He's young. He's only 27 years old. Had an ERA of 2.63 last season with 22 saves, 104 strikeouts, and a whip of 0.908. So, look, this is what I would be talking about. That this would be a great addition from subtraction. So you lost Diaz, but you replaced him with somebody almost equivalent or almost at the same level. Mason Miller, elite pitcher. Obviously was drafted by the Oakland A's in 2021, third round. He did well for them, and then Oakland traded him to the Padres. He continued doing well. Had a combined overall WAR of 2.2. If you guys were to replace Mason Miller or replace Edwin Diaz with Mason Miller, you will not be that. People will not be that upset. Trust me. He's young, way younger than Diaz. That'd be a great addition. That would make sense. I would go obviously look at that. I'd obviously look at also Adrian Morjan. He was top international pitching prospect. Padres signed him out of Cuba. And he was developed as a starter early in his career, but the injuries have reshaped his role. Pros, obviously, from him is that he's young, power lefty, former starter with bullpen versatile. Concerns is just his history of injuries. He's not consistent, and durability is the main question. So, listen, I would be looking at the Mets. If I was the Mets, I'd be talking to the Padres about them mostly. I think I get Nick Pivetta was one of the first. Well, let's continue with Adrian first. Adrian had an ERA of 2.08 with 73 innings pitched, 70 strikeouts, and a whip of 0.896. So he had a combined WAR of 2.4 in his season. He's only 26 years old. Listen, you add him to that bullpen, that would be a great addition. Um, both players would solve a big issue that we have, which is the bullpen. That would be good additions with Devin Williams, and who knows, possibly more. Here's why I don't say Nick Pivetta. Here's why. I'm gonna pull it up right now. Here's why I wouldn't really be too on the hype train for Nick Pivetta. He had a good year. Don't get me wrong with the Padres. He had a 2.87 ERA with a WHIP of 0.985 with 190 strikeouts and 181 innings pitched. Let's see his 2024 season. So his 2024 season with the Boston Red Sox, he had an ERA of 4.14 with 145 innings pitched, had himself 172 strikeouts, and a WHIP of 1.126. Year prior to that, also in Boston, a 4.04 ERA with 142 innings pitched, had a WHIP of 1.121. Year before that, had an ERA of 4.56. Year before that, ERA of 4.53. So it looks like he did well. I guess just was able to not establish, but just be meaningful for the Padres. Maybe in his role that he was in, but this is not this is just a year that it's from surprise, because obviously from what we tell, from what I just read out the year prior to that, this is a guy that has an above ERA of 4. So if you want to go after something like that, that would be, I guess, your choice. I just I feel like there's way better alternatives, especially like in the free agent market, to say, for example, that we can use over a Nick Pivetta and just save some prospects or players for Mason Miller and Adrian. Now we'll see what happens. Obviously, who knows what end up doing? Maybe they do. I feel like we've heard the Padres and Mets talk a lot. I don't think no things have been productive, or no trades have happened that much, really. So we'll see. I want them to go get Mason Miller. I would love that addition. Adrian also, I think he would be good for the bullpen, both players. Let's see. We just got to hope and wait, see what happens, see what they decide to do. Now, Jeff McNeil has drawn some interest, you guys. It's been reported, same guy from the Mariners, the Royals, and the Pirates. So people believe that Jeff McNeil will be traded before opening day. It could happen. Teams that need him, obviously, is the Seattle Mariners. They consistently need contact hitters, somebody that can play second base in the corner outfield, help reduce the strikeout heavy lineup that struggle in October. Other teams is like the Giants. Giants love versatile, matchup friendly players and can rotate between second, left, and right. That'd be a good option. Milwaukee, obviously, they need somebody that can slot in at second base or corner outfield, and that fits he fits a team that values defense and versatile. And obviously a strong mid-market contract that he has would be very friendly for them. So if I'm the Mets and I'm thinking David Stearns, most likely I could see a trade like that happening to Milwaukee. Obviously, David Stearns, we know how he's been and all that, etc. I would say, let's see what we get offered. I got a trade proposal. Let's get Freddie Peralta. Mets receive Freddie Peralta, righty from the Brewers, and the Brewers receive Jeff McNeil in a mid-tier pitching prospect, maybe from AAA or AA arm. Someone that can help him like in the back-end starter or a high-end leverage reliever type. I would do that for Freddie Peralta, even though it's like almost on a 1-year contract, I would say, because I believe after this season of 2026 he will be a free agent. But think about it, he's 29 years old. He had a good season, had a 2.70 ERA with 204 strikeouts, a whip of 1.075 with 176 innings pitched. Had a win-loss record of 17-6 with a WAR of 5.5. I would go out, add that addition. I think he'd be a good addition to the rotation. Obviously, he's projected to have now a bit of a down year, it looks like. 3.42 ERA with a whip of 1.163. Also, 185 strikeouts. So let's see what happens. Who knows? We'll see. Now, for Jeff McNeil, yeah, I would love for the Mets to do this. Get rid of Jeff McNeil, go out and get Freddie Peralta, add him, two-time All-Star. He's been with the Brewers for a while now. I could see that happening, especially David Stearns being, former Brewer. I would go. I could see him doing that a little bit. And obviously, like they said, Brewers need a second baseman and somebody that can plateau. And that contract is pretty mid-market friendly for him. So I think that could happen. And then obviously, why it works for the Mets is they get a front-end starter with swing and miss stuff. He would probably slot number 2 or 3 in the rotation, replaces innings plus strikeouts that we desperately need. McNeil is somewhat expandable with infield outfield depth that shifts. Peralta upside is high K rate with playoff caliber starter, under team control, not a rental. Why the Brewers would do it. Brewers often flip pitching for position players. McNeil gives them everyday second and or left field. Contact back to balance a power-heavy lineup. Veteran leadership on a competitive roster. They add a young arm to restock pitching depth. Milwaukee historic values, control, versatility, and cost. So McNeil obviously checks off all 3 of those. Listen, I've been saying it before for a long time now that I feel like us, the Mets, we got to trade Jeff McNeil. We got to get rid of him. I'm sorry. It's time to move on. We got to move on. He hasn't been consistent for us. He's been struggling the last couple of years. Injuries have caught up to him. He hasn't really been the same from when he came up. I think it's time to move on. Let's get rid of him. Let's go get some pitching help. Like I said, if we could go out, get, let's say, Freddie Peralta, that would be beautiful. I know the Mets have been in talk. I see that happening with David Stearns. Let's pull it. We got to work on the pitching rotation. We got to work on the offense. We got Jorge Polanco, so we'll see. We'll see what they end up doing. Now, switching over, that's not the Mets. Continuing a little bit with baseball. Merrill, I don't know what the hell is his first name. My apologies. Kelly, back to the Arizona Diamondbacks. So the Diamondbacks have agreed to sign veteran starter to a 2-year, $40 million contract this offseason. Reports described it as a return to Arizona, where Kelly was one of the most consistent starters for many seasons. What does this mean? Kelly became a free agent after the 2025 season once the Texas Rangers acquired him at the trade deadline. Instead of signing elsewhere long-term, he's reuniting with the Diamondbacks, who value his durability and veteran presence in the rotation. Obviously, the Diamondbacks see him as a mid-rotation innings eater rather than a big contract ace, which fits their needs while keeping flexibility. Why it matters for Arizona. The Diamondbacks struggled with the pitching depth after trading Kelly away mid-season. Bringing him back gives them a known performer and stabilizes a rotation that could use veteran innings while they integrate younger arms or chase other pitchers and free agents. So, look, for the Diamondbacks, love that for them. They traded him at the deadline to the Texas Rangers. They decided, hey, let's bring him back. He's been pretty consistent with us. And, veteran arm could be a good reliable, help the younger players out a little bit, grow. He did pretty well last season. For a number 3 or 4 pitcher, had a 3.52 ERA with a whip of 1.114 with 167 strikeouts, 184 innings pitched, had a combined WAR of 2.9. So, listen, not bad. Like they said, he's been pretty consistent for them. Year prior to that, 2024, he had a ERA of 4. But then the year before that had a 3.29 ERA with the Diamondbacks. 2022 had a 3.37 ERA. So he's one of those that is consistent. He's projected to have a 3.79 ERA with a whip of 1.208 and 145 strikeouts with 159 innings pitched. So he's been pretty consistent. Obviously, this helps them, balance out that rotation, like I said. Good signing for them, $20 million, similar to like how the Mets did with Jorge Polanco. I like it. Maybe down the road, he helps them out, maybe gives them that push that they need. Obviously, the Diamondbacks still need a couple things to go out and do, a couple work, but this is a good addition. He's been there before, and Texas didn't decide to bring him back. That's interesting, but I like it. I like it for the Diamondbacks. I think that was a pretty smart choice. Now maybe go out, get maybe one or two players that can help you guys out and go shine. I love that. Good sign, not too bad. All right, last topic for today. I know this is going to be a pretty short episode, I would say, but hey, we're coming back with a banger next time. No worries, no worries. We're going to talk about John Cena's last match. We're also going to react to it, you guys. We're going to take a look at it. We're going to look at the entrance, the match, and then the ending. We don't have the full just because WWE hasn't posted it yet, to my knowledge. Let me check, actually, real quick. All right, so I tried to look, but looks like we were out of luck. Let's react to it. We're going to go entrance, match, and the ending to it. We'll react to it and continue from there. Wow. I listen. His run as his last year, this year, obviously, and his run and everything. It is what it is, but I wasn't a fan of it. I didn't like the way WWE constructed everything. It felt like a lot of things wasn't done naturally. It felt like it was done just a quick 1-2 and that's it. Obviously, I get it. With the very beginning of him turning heel, I know that probably rubbed a lot of people the wrong way because of what happened and the outcome after that. That's something that you probably got to blame Upper, which is the final boss, aka The Rock, and Travis Scott. Both people just probably didn't continue on. One was probably busy, and another one just didn't want to. That being in Travis Scott, but at the end of the day, this is what I'll say. He will go down as one of the best. I don't think John Cena is the GOAT, but he will go down definitely on the Mount Rushmore as one of the best of all time. Talk about somebody that poured their blood, sweat, and tears every single night on Raw, SmackDown, live events, pay-per-views, you call it. 2015, John Cena was insane there every single night, putting on a show, going up against Authority at Survivor Series, going up against Rusev, defeating Rusev's streak. That U.S. Open challenge that, opened the door for many superstars like Sami Zayn, Cesaro, Kevin Owens, you name it. Great legend. Somebody that is definitely a great role model, someone that, definitely inspires others. Inspires a lot of people. Very class act. Think about how many Make-A-Wish John Cena's done. I think he has a record in it. Nobody's not even an inch close to him, which is crazy. But overall, didn't like it. I feel like they didn't really do it properly like they should have. But hey, it is what it is. Shout out to John Cena though. That was awesome. Shout out to you guys. Love to watch this. Thank you guys all for watching. Like I say every single time, stay humble, stay blessed, stay positive, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.